Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode where I show you guys the coolest custom creations that I personally happen to see online from the last week or two, in this case. I'm not showing any of these models in a particular top 10 order necessarily, just 10 of my favorites, and links to everything plus a whole lot more is in the description below. This last week we added an amazing, the single largest LEGO model to our web store from Too Impaired. It is the Eviscerator Imperial Star Destroyer. It's an Imperial 2, which makes it slightly different from the original UCS models. Oh yeah, and it's almost maybe 20,000 pieces with some of the best detailing that I have seen in gray ever. I highly recommend you check out that video if you haven't seen it already. And let's jump into the top 10 with one of my personal favorite builders I've been following for quite a long time from Lestranger Absurd. This is actually a 2-in-1. First, we're looking at a Force Push build. I don't know which Jedi this is. Perhaps it's Rey, but it's an amazing point in motion that has been captured wonderfully with a stormtrooper flying back and the crouching Jedi initiating the push. This builder has a very distinct style when it comes to character faces. You can see those nice Mixel eyes popped in there, and there's always a lot of nice cartoony fun animation whenever it comes to this guy. Now here is something a little bit more enveloping or intimidating. This is the Blood Countess, made up of some pieces from Kylo Ren. You can see the torso piece has been turned upside down, and the shoulder pauldrons have also been repurposed. The dark green eyes and what I'm going to assume is a bloody heart in hand definitely give this character a more intimidating look. And if you want to see a builder that has a very well realized sense of style, I highly recommend you check out his Flickr in the description below. Remember, links to all the builders I'm talking about are in the description below. Now this one's great in a lot of ways. This is from Wilson Dew, and I don't even know if I have to tell you the title of this build. We've got Baby Yoda. This little guy has been all over the internet, and every LEGO builder, so many LEGO builders have been making iterations of him. This is my personal favorite, and I very strongly doubt that I'm going to be seeing someone surpass this design in quite a while. It is perfectly scaled, and the best part is he's really, really cute. This is like the best iteration, I think most accurate iteration of the face. The scale of the slope pieces actually kind of leads into or gives the impression of wrinkles, which he is very wrinkly, and he's got just a little bit of posability in the right places. What I love here is that the designer took him out into some wonderful fields, and he took pictures of him very much like how a new parent would take pictures of their new cute little baby, which makes it all the better. I mean, it really was set up in a way to take pictures of your doting little child. Other builders have made some really awesome Baby Yodas, don't get me wrong. This is just by far my favorite, and probably one of the cutest LEGO builds I have seen in a very long time, maybe ever. We'll see. Now moving on, this is from the designer Cesium, and it's called Dragon Slayer, which is actually kind of an interesting name for such a high-tech mechanical build. Perhaps it exists in a fantasy universe where you've got hyper technology and what looks like a magnetic or railgun or something, and it's been designed directly to deal with dragons. So it's kind of an interesting fantasy tech world that this comes from, and the building techniques used here are wonderful. I love the harpoon pieces on the feet. There's a good combination of armor detailing and some mechanical Technic figure joint pieces there at the bottom, and I honestly don't know what is making up the teeth in the railgun, but it's a wonderful piece, and it really kind of gives you a more visceral mouth chomping looking feel. There's a few Star Wars builds in this episode. By the way, if you can't tell, this is from OK Yaramangolu, and it's the Sarlacc Pit. What I love here is I can't tell for sure, but I have a very strong feeling that the seed piece was this boat. The boat has been turned upside down, and that dinghy is the perfect shape for Jabba's sail barge. I think all the proper details have been captured in this small scale. This is kind of the micro scale that gives you the best kind of detailing, and also check out that little bantha in the corner. Love the use of that hairpiece. Now moving right along, from Kevin J. Walter, a designer that we've worked with in the past, has made this spaceship from Stargate. It's the 25th anniversary, and forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce the name quite right. It's been a very long time since I've watched the show or the movies. This is one of the more ambitious sci-fi looking designs. It doesn't look like a spaceship that we're used to seeing. And there's a lot of interesting and strange details mixed along in there. We have a perfect pyramid in the center, or maybe not perfectly equilateral, but it's wonderfully even and detailed, and it fits in quite well with the rest of the black superstructure around it. There's some wonderful rounded, hidden greeble details both on the yellow pyramid and the black, and it's definitely the most sci-fi of sci-fi models that I have seen in quite a while. Now we have a huge design from Peter Stretch, and it is the Apple Square Research Center. Initially, from the outside, I thought this was something like an embroidered and very fancy looking wall, but actually on the interior there's a bunch of scientific research rooms meant for study, so it's more of like a wonderful old university building with some modern day research facility rooms on the inside. The color combination on the exterior is amazing. I think it rides that line perfectly between kind of cartoony colors almost, or it's certainly vibrant, yet it's not too outlandish to think that you wouldn't see a building with these types of colors in real life. So it really pops, but it doesn't feel like it can't fit in with the real life universe. The black and blue alternating tiles for the roof is great. The red highlights coming down the columns really makes the tan and nougat pop, and the dome is absolutely amazing. The interior is amazing. It comes apart, I think, in modular chunks. It sort of looks like that from this picture, but truly this is one of the cooler, larger buildings that I have seen in a very long time, because it's not really bound by the square modular look, which makes it of course easy to integrate with a lot of LEGO cities. This is a custom build that I think really takes advantage and gives a very interesting shape to both the exterior and the interior rooms. Now this next build is from Chris Malloy, if you might recognize that name. We have the IEA Discovery, which is a much more realistic look at what interplanetary exploration might look like in the future. It's got modern day or contemporary looks from actual space stations, with of course extra modules that would make this thing ideal for making long voyages. The realism here kind of reminds me of how certain ships look like from The Expanse, and I can always appreciate when a designer has a certain perspective or gives themselves a kind of limitation that forces their creativity to come out in a certain style that matches up with what they want to achieve. It's a wonderful looking build. I really like the combination of colors too. It's not such like a drab looking ship. It honestly just has a lot going for it. Now we're looking at Werfler of Wommen. I think that's the name of the designer. World's Greatest Adventures, and it looks like Johnny Thunder has plundered quite a bit from different universes over his years. My guess is the modern day archaeological community would not be very happy to see this private collection, but as a LEGO fan and just a fan of wonderful colors and old styles and old themes, this is a really fun build because it crosses Lord of the Rings, the old castle stuff, Egypt, lots of single sub themes, and honestly the list goes on. The color is great. The use of these specialized parts often don't make it into MOCs, so I just love that he actually found a great use for them. And the picture composition, awesome. 10 out of 10. It was a really fun little colorful build. More Star Wars coming down the line. This is one of my favorite LEGO Star Wars designers today. First Order LEGO has made the Battle on Navarro, or it's just called Navarro from The Mandalorian. This is of course depicting a moment within the Mandalorian show. We have several Mandalorians that are fighting off a series of different bounty hunters, and there's a certain kind of decrepit, greebled shape to these buildings that is very signature of First Order LEGO, and I like to see that even within the minifig scale diorama MOCs for Star Wars, which there are a lot of builders, I'm confident that I can probably guess which types of builds would come from this designer. It really feels like he's got a very distinct style, and I just can't wait to see what other types of scenes come from this designer in the future. Now jumping on to the very last build of the week. Recently I showed off an amazing micro scale ancient Rome, and I said, we're not going to see a really cool micro scale build like this in a really long time. Ha ha ha, foot in mouth time. From Christoph Pujatepla, I hope I'm saying that right, comes this amazing Microville 2020. Please forgive me if this is based on a real city and I just don't know what it is, but the details in here are absolutely wonderful. We've got some cool apartment complexes, some residential areas, an amazing downtown modern metropolitan area, and honestly just a bit of everything. I could go through the details and pour over them and talk about the little things that I like here and there. The fact is there are wonderful building techniques hidden all throughout this area. He took took a ton of pictures. I'm having them all flash by the screen right now, but honestly, there were just a ton more. This is a really, really cool cityscape mock, and I think this designer should be very, very proud of what they managed to knock out. We have an industrial shipping yard, open beach areas, bridges, airports. I really like the airport, and I'm not going to talk about it on and on and on. It's just such a cool model. And all right, guys, that is going to be it for this week's top 10 mocks. Thanks a lot to Brothers Brick. I took most of the designs that were featured from here this week. And remember, guys, if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.